Hey guys, my name is Ray, and welcome to My Couch Academia. Now, I know it's hard being a couch potato, but some people have to do it, right? Am I right? Yeah, you couch potatoes out there know. But in all seriousness, guys, am I excited to talk about My Hero Academia Chapter 308. And like the title says, this is a spoiler video. So we will be spoiling the upcoming chapter. I won't show any of those images, but I'll try to make it as fun as possible. I really don't indulge into spoilers prior to this, but I think they're necessary evil, you know? Those who know. But let's dig right into this. And before I dig into it, I want to say thank you to @Sushi101 on Twitter and the translator Red and Blonde 420 for their good work and, you know, just being awesome and putting it out there for us. So the title of the chapter is All Out. And remember, these are fan translations. So on Sunday, remember to support the manga when it drops, and Kohei Horikoshi and everyone else, because that's the way that we show our support to them. And they'll definitely be a little bit more finer detailed out, you know, with what they say. But let's dig right into this. So the chapter starts with Deku's reunion with Muscular. It says, who remembered who Deku was? I wouldn't forget either if he kicked my ass and sent me to jail. He said he won't be able to forget Deku, and he's been wanting to meet him all these times. Which, of course, again, I would be upset too if someone kicked my ass and sent me to jail when I was having a blast doing anything I wanted. But let's continue. All of his other opponents are small fries and couldn't satisfy him. He said he doesn't want revenge or anything. He thought that going rampage with his quirk and doing whatever he wanted was enough. But since he's a human being, he couldn't go back to how he was before, after he tasted the fun and pleasure of fighting all out with Deku back then. Now, I would imagine that this must be true. We always see it like with villains and heroes. Like, look at Saitama in One Punch Man. He's always looking for that person who could take like his 100%, you know what I mean? And he's a good guy, quote unquote. But, you know, I think that it's interesting. I think that Deku has to kick his ass handedly, and we might get like that dude from the Hasaikai with Overhaul. That Overhaul just kept beating him and he kept coming back. I forgot his name, Rampa. Well, it seems to be one of those masochist situations here with Deku. He wants a second whooping from our boy. So let's continue. So he jumped to attack Deku, who stood on the building rooftop, but for some reason his leap wasn't high enough and he crashed onto the building. He then told Deku to go all out. Again, this usually tends to happen with strong people when they're going up against someone who at first they didn't believe was stronger than them. Then they get their ass kicked, and then, you know, this is what happens, you know. I like to call it the Vegeta complex. El complejo Vegeta, as we would say in Spanish. But let's continue. Deku brought Shindo to Tatami and told her to treat his wounds. Deku apologized for not arriving on time and being unable to prevent huge damage. The buildings and surroundings, he said he will make sure to reduce the damage to 0. Tatami couldn't see Deku well because there was lots of smoke, but she remembered his voice somewhere. Now, to me, this is interesting, right? And this is my biggest pet peeve with Deku throughout this whole manga and anime, is that he hasn't had his Naruto versus Pain moment when he was put on the map as one of the strongest characters, if not the strongest character in the show. And that has to come. We all know in Shonen, they all have their moment, but this has to come for Deku. And, you know, I just wanted to get out there quicker because I think that shows that we're actually progressing towards Deku being the #1 hero, the greatest hero ever, that he says he was in the beginning of the show. So, you know, let's continue. Deku realized he might have used too much smokescreen, to which the six agreed through internal dialogue. Because of One for All, the quirk became really strong and hard to control, especially after All Might. But that's why Deku needs to relax. Their quirks are enough to become a finishing move if used individually. So Deku will need to visualize and imagine them as tools where he can construct those tools to stop his opponent. Now, this is extremely interesting because there's a couple of things here. Again, back to Naruto. We know that My Hero Academia has a lot of undertones and a lot of themes that are in Naruto and hell, even in Shonen, right? This is a Shonen manga. So we have him having an inner dialogue with the sixth user, which is great because it kind of allows Deku to dig in maybe and see, get that inner, like you see how Kurama in Naruto will tell Naruto like, oh, we could do this is what you could do with my power, this is what. Well, now Deku has that. Deku is very smart on his own, don't get me wrong, but now Deku has someone who's experienced with these quirks that he's learning, and they could give him, little tricks and techniques. And now that he knows that they're on another level because of the stockpiler, he could put them over the top, each of these quirks. So it should be interesting to see how he uses this and implements it with the other ones that he has. But this is great news to me. This is going to show Deku making leaps and bounds in terms of other heroes and other powers, because he's going to learn to use these a lot quicker with the help of the other users. Let's continue. Deku remembered that Muscular is someone who could withstand 100% of One For All, and he's using Small Screen, the sixth user's quirk, to block Muscular's vision. And then he floated, the seventh, and he used Black Whip, the fifth, to attack Danger Sense, the fourth, to strengthen his prediction. Muscular said that he was using Teep Tricks. Deku asked him, where is All For One in Shigaraki? Muscular said he didn't know, and that the last thing they said to him was to do whatever he likes. Muscular said Deku is using Teep Tricks to dampen his mood, and once again told Deku to fight all out like that day. Now, there's a couple of things in here that are big in my opinion. One being, he's using all of his quirks at the same time. He's using them one by one, combining them to throw his opponent off guard, because he doesn't want to go head on against Muscular, because he thinks that Muscular could take on 100%. Now, one thing that I've noticed in the past, and I remember, is that Deku was using 100% of what he could output back then. I don't believe that he actually used 1,000,000% versus Muscular in the first time, but then again, I digress. Another interesting thing here, he mentions All For One in Shigaraki. Now, could this mean that Shigaraki is already in control of his body? To me, that's one of the biggest questions out there. And All For One, are they together? You know what I mean? What are they planning? What's the mood on the enemy side? How structured are they really? Because if they just send out Muscular, is this like bait to get the heroes to come out and then pick them off one by one? We know that now there are less heroes probably than villains out right now, so it should be interesting to see where this all develops. Let's continue. Deku asked Muscular why he wanted to rampage so badly, to which Muscular answered he wanted to live his life with no regrets of not experiencing all the fun and pleasure he can get. Deku asked Muscular if he had no other path he could choose, to which Muscular answered there were none. Muscular told Deku if he wanted to express sympathy, he should just do it somewhere else, because in Muscular's heart, there is only blood and battle. Now, this is a big theme that we're going to see for Deku coming on from here on out, is that he wants to know the motivation of these villains, right? If he could reform them, because he feels that society, and this is the thing that Dabi has brought to the forefront, and Killer Stain, and we see that Deku seeing these villains and why they turn into who they are and why they do the things that they do, he could kind of reverse engineer it probably and help these villains kind of get reformed, or what he likes to say, save them, right? I don't think that he could save some of these villains, but I do think that he believes he might be able to reform a few of them. So that is definitely interesting, because I think that a lot of people are expecting Deku to just kick Muscular's ass. I'm not expecting that to that extent, but I do think that he could beat him easily this time around compared to last time. But let's continue. Internally, Deku said that he knows that he should still fight no matter what his opponent's answers were, but he thought maybe he could change something if he knew the answer as to why they did that. Muscular said that Deku became such a boring man. After he said that, his muscles began to tear up and tear up. Happened because of Muscular's tension and exhaustion due to Shindo's vibration quirk. See previous chapter, we saw that Shindo had done his most powerful attack on him, and Muscular ate it up, but apparently it's having repercussions on to this chapter, because it seems to be the reason why why Muscular wasn't able to jump up to the complete building, because he's kind of tensed up and his muscles are tearing up. Let's continue. There's a time of lag from the vibration to see the tear up, but there's also why Muscular couldn't jump high enough in the beginning of the chapter. Muscular said that Deku was cunning, but Deku said that it was him being all out. End of chapter. Deku said that it was him being all out. I guess that what Deku is saying here is me asking you these questions is me being all out. I'm going the extra effort to see why you're doing what you're doing. I like the way that they're going with Deku, but again, I think that it has to be a major thing. Even like, let's say for example, in The Flash, right? In The Flash, when nobody knows who Barry Allen is or that The Flash is a thing, they call him the Red Blur. In Smallville, the Blue and Red Blur. You know what I mean? Like, you have to have Deku becoming not a symbol of peace like All Might that is like flaunting that he's stronger than everyone, but I do believe that there has to be some recognition of Deku's work so that he could build up to be who he's meant to be. And like Maester Aemon said in Game of Thrones, 2 weeks without Boku no Hero Academia in the world is a terrible thing. I think that's what he said. I'm not sure. You could, don't hold me to that. But guys, it was really fun doing this first spoiler video. If you guys enjoyed it, please let me know down below in the comments. And please remember to drop a like. I'm doing this because I really want to interact with people. I want to see what people think about this type of stuff. I'm super excited to hear all this stuff. And yeah, I just would like to thank, again, the translators for this chapter and also the artist. The artist that I used their beautiful art for this is Hexamendo. He's on Twitter, or they're on Twitter. And also, I would also like to thank at Sushi 101 and Red and Blonde 420 for their translations. Thanks again. Thanks to you guys. We're able to do stuff like this. But again, guys, it's always been a true pleasure. My name is Ray, and peace.